So what if courage wasn't some magical trait you were born with, but was actually a skill, something you could practice and build, just like anything else? In this explainer, we're going to completely reframe courage as a tangible, physiological capacity that you can actively develop. But first, let's start with a question I think we've all wrestled with. You have this brilliant idea, right? The vision is clear, you even have a solid plan. But somewhere between that initial spark and actually getting it done, the momentum just stalls. Why on earth does that happen so often?
Well, it turns out the answer is pretty compelling. Stalled execution is rarely a problem with your plan or your logistics, it's almost always an emotional one. The real challenge, the real friction, comes from our own nervous system's response to the uncertainty that's just part of creating anything new.
And this brings us right to the heart of our explainer today, this idea that we need to completely reframe how we think about courage. It's not a fixed trait, it's a skill.
Let's just look at this comparison for a second. The old idea, the one most of us grew up with, frames courage as this fixed thing. It's innate. You either have it or you don't. But this new idea is so much more empowering. It sees courage as a trainable skill. It's not about your personality. It's about developing the actual physiological capacity to manage your internal world. So what is this physiological skill exactly? It's the capacity to actively manage your internal emotional states so that you can sustain momentum right through the middle of uncertainty. It's about being able to stay present with that feeling of discomfort, which allows you to keep moving forward instead of retreating into self-protection.
Ultimately, the goal here is to achieve what we call self-alignment, where your actions are in complete harmony with your internal state. It's about making sure that the part of you that's walking the path feels prepared and capable, not unworthy or unsafe. And this is really a core practice for developing your own internal authority, your ability to trust yourself and act from a place of genuine inner clarity.
Okay, so this all sounds good, but how do we actually build this skill? Well, there's a clear, practical framework for learning how to lead your own nervous system.
Here are the 4 steps we're going to walk through. Think of each one as a deliberate practice designed to build your capacity to move through all that uncertainty with real presence and conviction. Step 1 is absolutely foundational. You have to treat execution as a choice about your identity. This goes way beyond simple productivity hacks. It's about deeply aligning your internal sense of self with the work you're actually doing. When you do that, real momentum flows from who you are, not just from what you do.
Step 2 is all about giving yourself permission to be a work in progress. You know that messy middle, right? That uncomfortable phase where things are not polished, they're not perfect yet. By releasing that internal pressure to be impressive all the time, we calm our nervous system down and we stop the fear of not knowing from completely derailing our efforts.
I absolutely love this quote. It just captures the whole mindset of step 2 perfectly. Progress is proof of participation, not perfection. The goal isn't some flawless performance. The goal is just to keep showing up. Your continued participation is the real evidence of progress.
Step 3 gives us something to hold on to when we're in that uncertainty. We focus on the 3 C's: conviction, clarity, and consistency. These are really core elements of presence-driven leadership, which is all about leading from a place of awareness instead of just running on autopilot. They become your internal compass when the external path isn't clear at all. And finally, step 4. This is the reminder that execution is a continuous decision. Courage isn't some grand one-time declaration. It's a quiet, daily choice. It's the discipline of recommitting to the work over and over, especially when it feels hard. That's what builds true momentum and resilience over time.
So, what happens when we consistently practice these 4 steps? What's the outcome? Well, a really profound shift starts to happen in our energy and our focus.
You know the old default. When we're dysregulated and feeling that pressure, we operate from a place of defense. We feel like we have to constantly prove our worth, defend our competence, and justify our right to even be in the room. And that just consumes an enormous amount of energy. But when we learn to lead our own nervous system, the focus shifts entirely. We move from that defensive crouch to a much more open posture of expression. Our energy is no longer wasted on proving. It's channeled into creating, into contributing, and into actually expressing our full potential. At its core, this is the fundamental shift from reactivity to responsibility. It's about taking ownership of our own internal state so we can show up and act with dignity and alignment. This is a cornerstone of what we call upright living,
the practice of living in a way that is truly authentic to your deepest values.
So I'll leave you with a final reflection. Based on everything we've just covered, what is one small, daily choice you can make, maybe starting today, that would begin to build your physiological skill of courage?